Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2. And I'm back with part 4 of What If Naruto Was a Bastard with the Red Byakugan guys. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also guys, I posted a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Obsessed with Power over an anime symbol. And I also posted a new Shadow the Hedgehog episode over an Anime King guys, so go ahead, check out those and enjoy. I'll be leaving all the links down in the description, and yes, I indeed have 3 more channels. I'll be leaving all the links down there for you guys to enjoy, so go ahead and become a part of the Anime King family. So without further ado or wasting any more time, how about we jump right into this brand new episode. Let us begin now guys. So, the last part we left off. Since becoming a ninja of the village, Team 7 haven't found themselves in any difficult situation just yet. Things have been regal and calm for the time being. So that was good. As Naruto continued to train, to push himself day in and day out as well. Upon finally completing what he desired, Naruto was able to completely sever the inside of a tree, reducing everything to ashes, making the tree hollow. Naruto was working on something big, truly big. With that, he continued to train, as Satoru was watching Naruto. Satoru's background was the same, to an extent, to the main family background as well. And he believed that he was the one that should be the leader of the clan, something that has been bugging him for a long time now. However, Naruto, being who he was, being the son of Hayashi and being rather special, was giving him a great insight on a lot of things that he was currently cultivating at the moment. So with that, he continued to watch Naruto from afar, observing him, watching how his power grew. Hinata was also taking big changes, having changed a lot in terms of her mental fortitude due to Naruto. When Team 7 finally was given the opportunity, they head towards the land of Wave. Upon making their way there, they came across the Demon Brothers. However, Naruto was able to stop them from attacking the Copy Ninja, and Mito and Sasuke worked in tandem as they took them down. Kakashi was proud of his students, each and every one of them, as their attacks were flawless, and he was insanely proud. It wasn't hard to find out that Tazuna was lying, due to Naruto being able to see through deception. However, they still decided to head towards the land of Wave, where they came across Zabuza Mamakai. Zabuza was vastly more powerful than them, so Kakashi had to be the one to take this on, as he clashed with the man rather vigorously. Kakashi was able to keep up until he got captured. However, working together, Team 7 was able to outplay Zabuza and free their sensei. In the end though, Zabuza was saved by his apprentice. When they got to the house, they had a little debacle with Iniri, the youngest child there. However, Naruto continued to train and push himself day in and day out. In this situation, Sasuke was the one that was falling behind due to the advanced training that Mito and Naruto did on their own, so yes, Sasuke found himself lacking behind. However, it was going to be great for him in the long run, as it was giving him the determination to push farther and farther and further, and he was getting stronger as hell. When the day finally came though, as Naruto arrived there, Naruto was able to quickly understand the situation by using the depths of his eyes. It was then that we learned that Naruto was not only able to sever the connections in the mirror, but he was also able to implant a very specialized genjutsu that he created. When he had asked Neji if he lost chakra, that is what Naruto was trying to do. It was a genjutsu of his that tampered with the perception of chakra and the user, making them feel tired, making them feel exhausted chakra-wise and physical-wise as well, when they clearly weren't. So yes, that was a great aspect for the future. Not only that though, when it came down to hand, Naruto demolished Haku. With that said and done, they found themselves making their way, as Haku gave up his life, causing Mito to lose her cool on Zabuza after hearing what Haku had to say. However, Zabuza decided to kick in the last round and take out Gato, scaring the others away as well, as he died. During that moment when Naruto stood at their gravesite, you wonder if there can be truly freedom. He's always prided himself on saying that he would be free one day, that he would shatter the cycle, that he would break it, and yet he watched someone give their life for the one that they care about. He watched someone give up everything, knowing that they would be condemned to their fate forever. It made him rip the headband off as he glared at the mark on his head. However, Mito arrived not soon long after. As they made their way back, the bridge was named after Team 7 for their heroic work here. With that said and done, they returned back to the village, given some time off. However, a lot of time passed since then, as each and every member grew drastically in strength. With that said and done, they found themselves partaking in the Chunin exams. The first round was pretty easy for them. Going through the first round, they found themselves within the second round, where they came across none other than Orochimaru of the Sannin. After seeing where the man was going after, Naruto quickly deduced that he was after Sasuke, and they had to do something about it. So with that, they went after him, each and every one of them. So yeah guys, basically let's play it off. You guys can switch across to the place, check it out for yourself, and also don't forget to go ahead and obliterate that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. So what do you say we begin this? Now guys, a violent scream ripped through the forest area, courtesy of Sasuke Uchiha. Sasuke collapsed down to the ground, gripping onto his neck. The small area was completely destroyed as Sasuke was screaming out, gripping onto the curse mark that was now circulating around his neck. He collapsed on the ground as he blacked out. He wasn't the only one. Over to the side was an unconscious Mito, and that was due to the seal that Orochimaru placed over her original seal. Seeing her friends getting attacked and hurt, she lost it. Given the opponent is so much stronger than them, she tried, but Orochimaru was able to counteract the Nine-Tails chakra with a 5-pointer seal, restricting the power, messing up her chakra system. She found herself on the ground unconscious. As for Naruto, he wasn't that good off either. Forcefully picking himself out of the dirt and dust that had accumulated over him, he was bruised and scratched. They tried to defend Sasuke, to come to his aid, but it was Orochimaru. The man was above them, far above them at the moment. His strength was not something they could keep up with. It seems like they were fighting him back, but he was just toying with them. Naruto grit his teeth in anger, gazing over toward the Sannin. The man sped forward and Naruto lost him. His Byakugan was not activated. That is when he heard the cold, chilling voice behind him. It's a shame. If the situations were different, I would have marked you as well, Orochimaru said, licking his lips. Arriving here, the Sannin came for Sasuke Uchiha, the last Uchiha within the village. However, after witnessing the performance of Naruto, Orochimaru was shocked. Having never witnessed a Byakugan like this before, through all of his years on this earth, yes, he was taken aback by the wonderful sight of the Crimson Byakugan. However, upon seeing Naruto's skills, he was shocked even more. The boy was truly amazing for his age, outclassing Sasuke in every single area. However, Orochimaru was here for the body of the Uchiha. He did not want to waste the opportunity. He's seen what the Uchihas can do at their pinnacle. He's seen what a gaze from their eyes could do. However, he was intrigued by the Byakugan, never having it in his sights before, but now, more than ever, he was curious. And that was not a good thing for the wielder one bit. Marking someone wasn't that easy. Orochimaru had to separate a piece of his soul fragment. So it wasn't something that he can do willy-nilly. It has to be prepared very cautiously. So he could not mark Naruto, but those eyes did intrigue him. Naruto spun and lashed out. Orochimaru weaved and grabbed Naruto's wrist, squeezing it as Naruto collapsed down to the ground. Even without your eyes, even with the knowing knowledge that you stand no chance, you still try to fight. You're a peculiar child, aren't you? Orochimaru said. As he tossed Naruto off the branch, Naruto crashed into the foliage. The Sannin jumped down like a predator stalking its prey, licking his lips as he did, finding the whole thing rather enjoyable. Naruto forcefully got to his feet. He was tired. He was weak. Every single thing that he threw at the Sannin seemed to be worthless. It doesn't matter what he did. It doesn't matter how much he tried. Even with his genjutsu, it was not on the level to affect someone like him to the necessary point that he needed. His blows did not connect. The man's speed far surpassed his. Naruto felt like he was outclassed in every single way, which he was. So this was what it meant to be strong. This was what it meant to have power where those beneath you stood no chance. A part of him in that moment wondered if this was ever something that he would ever have. And it angered him because the weak part of him believed that he would never reach that level. As the Sannin voice was drowned out by Naruto's own inner monologue, Orochimaru got closer. He did not intend to kill Naruto, but he wanted to see if that was all. If this was the limit of the boy. Limitations, his body, his mind, his soul. He just wanted to see. It wasn't often that many things piqued his interest. So yes, it was a reasonable stalking in his opinion. But despite being exhausted enough to not even awaken his eyes or fight at his fullest, Naruto rose to his feet. He gazed at the Sannin with such defiance in his eyes. You're truly peculiar, aren't you? Orochimaru said. Not even having the standard eyes of your clan. He wondered, what makes this one so special? It would be fun to pick him apart to find out what makes him tick. The look that Orochimaru gave Naruto was like one looking at a project to pick apart piece by piece. However, Orochimaru was interested when Naruto's hand came up and whacked himself across the face. As Naruto's inner monologue was driving him crazy, what the hell was wrong with him? He remembered clearly what he said on that night, that he would never give up no matter what, no matter how hard the struggle got. He was punished for days upon days until pain no longer makes sense to him. This was nothing. The Sannin saw a change in his eyes. Not anything that was outwards, but like the child refused to back down and it was just multiplied by 1,000. However, that was not all. Naruto Byakugan came to life once again, as the rage in his eyes stood prominent. Orochimaru then saw something. a manifestation that stood behind Naruto, a being. He could not make out the face, similar to what Naruto saw on the ocean at Land of Wave. But he saw the eyes. Their eyes were the same. The individual raised their hand. As Naruto started, "It doesn't matter who the hell you are. I refuse to die here. Not until I'm free. Not until I'm free," Naruto said, his rage reaching a critical point. The veins at the side of his head started glow red, and red, like they were about to burst. The manifestation that stood behind Naruto raised his hand. The next moment, there was a violent explosion that reduced everything around to rubbles. It was a good thing that both Mito and Sasuke unconscious form was lying behind Naruto. The critical blast went off in front of Naruto, reducing everything from that point and onwards in a very wide radius. So much so that the other participants all gazed over towards the scene as they felt the little shockwave spread throughout the forest. Once that was done, Naruto collapsed. He collapsed hard as he promptly blacked out. A distance away, Orochimaru was lying there. The Sannin was burnt all over. Looking down towards his chest area, you could see the ribs. His skin had melted away. The left side of his face had melted off completely. He opened his mouth extremely wide as another fresh, untouched Orochimaru slipped through. The Sannin looked down towards his burnt corpse. A new sense of fascination in his eyes. Orochimaru saw different from what Naruto saw moments earlier. As Naruto rose back to his feet, as the veins pulsated red, the accumulation that came from his eyes erupted outwards, causing a sensational blast that destroyed everything, that sent the Sannin flying deep within the forest. Orochimaru was rather shocked, greatly so. What exactly was that boy? What was that manifestation that stood behind him? The Sannin made his way back to the scene to find the three of them unconscious. There was a good chance that someone else would take them out of their misery, or the wild animals around here would rip them apart. Orochimaru picked each and every one of them up one by one. It was for his own interests. First of all, he wanted to see Sasuke pass through this trial. He wanted to see Sasuke fight and get infused by his mark even more. The girl, the 9-tailed Jinchuriki, did not interest him that much. But this Hyuga was a strange one, and he was looking forward to see exactly what he can do. It would be good for the Sannin in the future for when he take him to experiment on him to find the secrets behind those eyes. But for now, he will spare their life as he hid them away so that the animals or another team would not find them. He quickly made his way to go and find the Sound team. They would offer Sasuke a good challenge for him to realize the amount of power that he will get from siding with him. Before he left though, he gazed back towards Naruto. The explosion was so quick that not even he was able to outrun it, because it caught him off guard, so sudden and so fast, and so wide range as well. To think that he had to shed his skin, and this was a child. A part of his mind was telling him to put the child down. Perhaps he would be too much of a bothersome problem in the future. However, he would trust his instincts on this one. This might prove to be beneficial for him when he did come for the child, just to pick him apart. So with that, Orochimaru decided to leave, unknowingly making one of the biggest mistakes that he would ever make. Time skip. Naruto was the first one to wake up, despite being the last one to fall. The seal that Orochimaru placed on Mito had drastic effects, By forcefully pushing all that chakra back in, it blacked her out. Sasuke was going through internal changes, while Naruto woke up and he could barely see a damn thing. Everything was so blurry. For a moment there, he believed that he was going blind. However, as he calmed himself and the time passed by, his vision started to slowly return. The last thing he remembered was standing off with the Sannin as he felt like his eyeballs were about to explode. And now here he was. Who brought them here together? In a rather hidden area, Naruto proceeded to make his way, checking out the scenery around them. It was nighttime. He had no idea if he had slept through the entire day, if this was another day-night. He had no idea how long he was unconscious for. Long enough for someone to move them apparently. He tried to wake the others, but he was unsuccessful. He needed to get them out of here. He needed to get to the tower. He searched himself as he found the Heaven Scroll. Having taken it away from Sasuke after the Uchiha almost lost his cool, they need a Earth Scroll to get out of here. However, leaving them behind doesn't seem like a good idea, despite the three of them being untouched. Perhaps it was for the best, Naruto thought. That is when his hearing picked up on something. He tried to activate his eyes, but the mere notion of doing that caused him an indescribable amount of pain. So he had to stop himself from doing so, having no idea what was going on, having no idea how he even survived Orochimaru. Damn it, he cursed. It seems like someone had arrived. Naruto proceeded to sit down and wait. He couldn't help the other two, having no idea how. The both of them seemed to be fine externally. However, internally was a problem. He remembered seeing Orochimaru slam his hand on Mito's stomach. Naruto raised her shirt, stopping right above her stomach, as the mark was there. When he noticed the difference, something was on top of the mark. Something rather unusual. Another seal. Naruto forcefully tried to activate his eyes, which would be beneficial in this moment. He gripped his skull as he bit at the pain that he was feeling. He then started to focus. He focused his gaze downwards. As he saw the seal and the odd number seal over it. Naruto wasn't proficient in sealing arts. However, as his eyes gazed towards it, Naruto was seeing something that he never saw before. He wasn't a person that checked out a lot of seals, but he seen Mito's seal with his Byakugan. And he could see the difference. He could see the pattern, the way it was laid out. Naruto sent chakra to his fingertips. As he placed his hand on the 5-pointer seal, he started to unravel it, believing that he was doing the right thing. The 5-pointer seal was the only one that was being affected, not the Death Reaper seal. Naruto turned it, but it wasn't breaking, it wasn't undoing. He didn't have enough knowledge. He had to squint as he deactivated his eyes, raising his hand to his face. He brought his hand back as he saw blood. His eyes were bleeding. What the hell is going on with him, he thought to himself. He felt so useless in this moment. He had to simply sit and wait until the recovery of the other two. And with the enemies outside, however, they have not attacked or made a move. What were they waiting on, he wondered. Naruto waited, watching over his team, as he couldn't sleep. However, after a few hours, Mito woke up as she started to stir. Naruto placed a hand at her lip when she finally was able to see him, showing that she needed to be quiet. She quickly understood the situation. It was three of them. He whispered to her. They were outside watching. It was the Sound Ninjas, gazing over towards Sasuke. However, in this predicament, none of them had the necessities to truly help him. Naruto had helped Sasuke as much as he could, placing the wet cloth on his forehead, trying to tend to the fever that had broken. It looked like he would be fine sooner than later. However, the enemy was outside. Naruto was still in a bad condition, and Mito was feeling strange. As Naruto pointed out that there was a seal on her stomach, she gritted her teeth at the bastard Orochimaru. He did something to her chakra, messing with it. However, none of them knew how to truly remove that. So here they find themselves, deep within the forest. The enemy's outside. Naruto was not 100, she was not 100. However, the enemy was not going to give them the opportunity, as they were finally ready to attack. They made their statement rather clear. We know that you're in there. He stepped forward as if he was a leader of the group. His name was Zaku, backed by Dosu and Kin. Orochimaru messed up her chakra so much that Mito couldn't even use her goddamn chains. And that was a big problem at the moment. However, they were a man down and they had to fight. She stepped out, followed by Naruto. What the hell do you want? She said. Well, it should be obvious. But we're not here for the scroll, Zaku said. Hand over the Uchiha. Why? Said Naruto. That's none of your business, why? So unless you two want to die, give us the Uchiha or else. Well, he's not in a good state right now. And not to mention he's our teammate and a friend. So, you're gonna have to go through us. Mito said, and you should know, neither of us plan on dying anytime soon. Naruto wasn't there for talking, knowing that they were going to attack no matter what. He was assessing the opponents. His eyes had not recovered just yet. However, Zaku smiled, raising both of his hands. He released a powerful shock wave. It was fast and quick. They could not jump away, given the fact that Sasuke was inside. Mito created several clones. She was still able to do that was good. The chakra construct of chains were much more complicated. The clones were hit by the thunderous blasts. The last line of defense was Naruto, who thrust his palm out for an empty palm. Even as the massive, pressurized ear blast slammed at him, Naruto withstood it as it roughly closed and damaged him where he stood. However, he stood. He withstood it. Yes, he did. Seems like you're not so weak after all, Zaku said. But still not strong enough. This one is going to be a double. He extended both hands. Screw it, Naruto said. He activated his Byakugan despite the pain. Despite the blood that started to run down at the corner of his eyes. Before Zaku could send this technique off, Naruto activate his illusion. Zaku was confused. What the hell? Why am I so tired? He said. Being much weaker than the Sani, Naruto was able to manipulate his chakra flow. Naruto dashed forward, already giving a signal to Mito, who jumped, launching several kunais their way. The other two split apart. Zaku raising his arm fast enough to block the third one. He was able to move out of the way, but Naruto was in front of him. Kin, on the other hand, launched 3 senbons. Naruto had to deflect them, allowing Dosu time to run in. He swung his gauntlet, but Naruto weaved underneath it, only for the pressurized sound waves to trigger his ear canal. Naruto went dizzy. He almost fell, but Dosu finished it off by delivering a brutal hit across his face, launching him backwards. Mito caught Naruto, stopping him from crashing into the ground. You idiot, snap out of it. They're doing something to you. Dosu shouted at Zaku, who still was trying to steady himself. And now that Naruto was down, Zaku started to break out of the illusion. What the hell just happened, he said. It was one of them, said Kin. I'm not sure what they did, but it seemed to be genjutsu-wise. Her thing was genjutsu as well, so she was able to see it rather clearly. Orochimaru expected that Sasuke would be back up by this time because he did not desire Naruto's death. However, Naruto got back to his feet. I'm fine, he said to Mito. Remember what you said. We're not about to die here, said Naruto. Mito nodded, only for Naruto to collapse over. He started to puke. Dosu's sound ear affecting was much stronger than Naruto realized. Let's just finish them off, Dosu said. Only for a demonic presence to spread over the entire place, swallowing the entire area. Emerging from the tree, due to their protection, was none other than Sasuke Uchiha. Sasuke looked at the two, his gaze only seeing them for the moment. Who did this to you too? So you're finally here, huh, Uchiha? Zaku said. By the way, that was me. He smirked confidently. What is this? Mito said. Noticing the flame patterns as Naruto realized this was the work of the Sannin. It didn't take long for Sasuke to turn his wrath upon the three, showing that they were nothing. Sasuke demolished Zaku first. Kin tried to use her little needles, but his speed outscaled her and dropped her like she was nothing. He broke Zaku's arms. He weaved away from Dosu, moving with speed that Dosu could not keep up with, and sent him sailing. Realizing that they stood no chance, Dosu offered up their scroll, just to give them the opportunity to leave. Sasuke wanted to fight though until Naruto grabbed his wrist, stopping him. This is not you, he said. Don't let that snake freak overcome you, Naruto said. You're stronger than this. Naruto had no idea the side effects of what Orochimaru did, but if Sasuke gave in, it would be bad. Naruto's words and his pride allowed Sasuke to forcefully push the mark back. Naruto then fell down on the ground, discombobulated. Still, Dosu's attack was really ear-sensitive, very much. However, that was not the only problem that Naruto was currently facing. From his overexertion of his eyes that were literally making them bleed, and his still tired and exhausted state, he was not in any condition to fight, but yet he was still able to stand and almost bested Zaku if Dosu and Kin wasn't there. However, by himself, they would have ended his life, but luckily he had his team though. So with that, they lived to fight another day, the sound team running away, dropping their scroll. Lucky enough, it was what they needed. Time skip. It took them a while to arrive towards the tower, as they ran into another problem, courtesy of a team from the Land of Rain, able to create multiple copies of themselves. But these weren't any clones, these were a very specialized genjutsu. However, they came across two members that had the abilities to nullify that pretty easily, so they were nothing. Team 7 arrived on the third day, as they all looked pretty exhausted. They had been constantly on the move, getting away from animals and people that tried to obscure them. But they finally got to the tower, as they found themselves within the resting area. Naruto lay there on the bed, still not knowing why Orochimaru did not put an end to him or what happened or who put them under that area to keep them safe. Why would the Sannin do that if his original plan was to mark Sasuke and try to defeat them in the most horrendous way? Naruto could not give an example. He lied there though. He had slapped himself in front of the Sannin because of his own weakness, realizing that he's been going down too hard on himself. He promised himself, he promised the others that they would see his growth, that they would see his change, and he almost gave up. How would he ever get his freedom if he ever did? There was only 2 days left, and they used that time to recuperate and recover, Mito being able to recover faster than them. However, by the last day, Naruto was back on his feet. His eyes weren't bothering him that much anymore, and he could activate them once again without any external problem. He had no idea why that happened. He remembered pushing himself farther than he's ever before. He remembered there was an explosion, but nothing much after that. However, he found himself back on his feet, ready to face what the rest of the exam had to throw their way. Being isolated without anyone to inform, but he was sure that they would be able to speak to their Jonin senseis or someone even higher in due time. Time skip. They were all gathered. Majority of the teams that made it here were Konoha teams. However, there was the sound that arrived here as well. And there was also the Sand team as well. The Hokage started to give a speech. Naruto figured that they were probably aware by now of what was roaming through the forest areas. If not, that was going to be a problem. He gazed over as he saw Hinata. He also saw Neji as well. It seems like all of them will be fighting. Mito was rather worried about Sasuke and Mark, given the fact that he lost control in the forest, as it seemed to have consumed his mind with nothing but a sense of delight. She saw there was a smile on his face as he was breaking Zaku's arms. She did not care much for the enemy, but Sasuke wasn't like that. And after going toe to toe, well, in her opinion, with that man, that devilish, wicked man, he was a big problem, and it would be bad if his influence got on Sasuke. However, due to his own arrogance of wanting to continue on, Sasuke made her believe that he was okay, despite the mark being fully exposed and open. However, the team was already aware of that, due to Orochimaru coming across Anko within the forest. So as the match began, Kabuto leaving before the match could truly start, Sasuke went against one of Kabuto's teammates. Anko was shocked to see the willpower that Uchiha had, as Sasuke was able to push back the mark. Yes, he was able to fight it off, push it back completely, as he delivered a brutal combo, taking out his opponent. Mito went up against Kiba Inuzaka, believing that he had this one in the bag. However, Mito humiliated him. Well, in his opinion, the match only lasted for around 7 minutes. However, despite the fact that she still had that strange seal on her stomach and was unable to formally bring her chains into solid form, her clones and skills up to this point were more than enough to take Kiba down. As the other matches took place, one of the most brutal was Lee, as he made his way up against none other than Gaara. The match was fast-paced and rather rough. In the end, Gaara came out on top, but even then, Lee would not submit. Hinata's name was called. Her opponent was Kin of the Sound. Hinata made her way down there, and her growth had really been shown in this department. Yes, her growth had been shown splendidly, and you can see it rather well. Kin tried to use her Senbon bells to take Hinata out of the fray. However, with her eyes activated, Hinata was able to pinpoint each and every one of them, using her own weapons even as she was being affected by the illusion. She knocked away each and every one of them, shocking Kin. Hinata got in close. Kin tried to run and jump away, but Hinata was faster. Naruto stood there, looking rather proud. Neji did not seem to be that happy by the display that she was showing. Once Hinata got in close, Kin was nothing. She demolished her. Coming out on top, Kurenai was all smile to see just how much Hinata has changed. Hinata gazed up and looked towards Naruto and sent him a smile, which he sent her one slightly back as well. His name was called not too long after, as Naruto made his way down there versus Dosu. When Dosu saw him, he believed that he was going to come out on top due to what happened within the forest. However, this was not going to be the same fight. As the proctor gave them the go-ahead, Naruto dashed forward. Dosu was frightened by the speed. Given Naruto weakness in the forest, he counted on seeing that same speed, but he got something completely new. Something much more powerful. And it shocked him to no end. Naruto weaved under his attack. Dosu smirked though, but confused when Naruto was completely fine. There was a thin layer of chakra around Naruto's ears. Not this time, Naruto said. Naruto stepped in and struck the gauntlet with such force. People were confused when the gauntlet erupted from the inside out, almost like a blast. Those who tried to bring the other one up, but the same result happened. His arms were bared as Naruto struck them so hard. They were thrown back. You could hear the breaking within the joints area. People were confused by Naruto's fighting style, knowing that he was a Hyuga. Many were shocked by his eyes though. It seems like most did not even found themselves aware. As Tenten was gazing down towards the only person that Neji seemed to see as someone that could rival him in their age group. And now she understood why. Those who tried to step back, but Naruto hit him in the stomach, then the shoulder blade, then at his side. Dosu's body leaned over as he seemed to be unable to control his movements. Naruto placed one finger at the top of his forehead, stopping him from dropping to the ground. "You got lucky," said Naruto within the forest. "Don't think it would happen again." Naruto pushed him over as he collapsed, unable to move, his body and chakra seizing up. However, Naruto did not end his life. He left him there as he was taken to the infirmary. Neji was shocked and you could see it on his face. The fighting style that Naruto seemed to have been working on was something refined, with speed and yet such brutality. However, the exploding gauntlets, that part confused him. Neji went up against Choji, and he simply sealed Choji points, stopping him from turning into his human tank. As the other matches took place, all members of Team 7 had got through, so they would all be going to the finals. As the names were called and the members were picked, everyone was rather surprised by the order of who they would be fighting. Sasuke's opponent was Gaara, one of the most ferocious that they've seen. Mito would be going up against Hinata, and Naruto would be going up against Neji. Shikamaru, who was the only one on his team that had came out on top, would be going up against Temari. And Shino, who came out on top as well, would be going up against Kankuro. As the orders were there for the people that seemed to want to prove something about themselves. Well, perhaps it was just random. However, they had 1 month to train. They had 1 month to get better and be prepared for what they had to do. Each of the members split apart, with all of them being within the finals. They were questioned about what took place within the Forest of Death and simply told them what happened. The teams then split apart, as eventually all of them were going to have to fight. There was no doubt about that. And it was very clear seeing that all of them had made it to the finals. So yes, they were going to have to go up against one another. So with that said and done, they all were given individual training. Naruto simply trained on his own, given the stigma within his clan about the higher members not wanting to help his growth. Once again though, Naruto found himself being watched by Satoru. Mito found herself a rather perverted teacher after the first teacher that Kakashi had left for her failed miserably, Jiraiya of the Sannin. Kakashi took Sasuke into his hand to train him. So yes, all of them were there, getting better, getting ready for what they had to do. Just like Naruto and Neji was training on his own, the both of them having very special areas to work on for the finals. Despite the both of them being friends, neither want to lose to the other. So yes, they were training hard, insanely so. Time skip. They haven't seen each other in an entire month, as they found themselves reuniting on that day. Sasuke was not here though. He was the odd one out. However, as the time ticked by, they started to worry if he was going to show up because he had still not arrived. So with that, the participants were quieted down as a speech was given by the Hokage. Seated next to him was the Kazekage as well. Once his speech finally came to an end, they found themselves peering off, as the first match was Shikamaru versus Temari. The battle between them lasted for more than an hour. However, this battle was filled with a lot of strategic moves as they clashed against one another, trying to bring each other down. Shikamaru though was playing on the fact that he was a literal genius, outwitting her with his mind because she possessed physical strength and the power to rip everything to sunders in the area with that massive fan of hers. She won, but he gave up. But his chakra was indeed low, so then again, it was hard to count. However, its mind alone already made him a perfect member for Chunin level. Mito was unable to tell Naruto about everything that has happened in the month. Her meeting one of the legendary Sannins who got rid of that damn seal that was on her stomach. However, it wasn't only that, she learned so much, and he also decided to make her his pupil. Mito was suspicious of that, why he was so willing to do so after she rejected him for being a pervert. However, she was trying to see how much she could get out of the training, and she had to say it was beyond helpful. She made her way down there, Hinata in tow. Hanabi sat beside Hayashi. She was happy to see her sister, having also seen the great changes inside of her sister. There she was, as happy as ever. As the match down there was almost ready, as the proctor asked them if they were ready to begin, the both of them giving a heads up. The proctor jumped away. Hinata slipped into her stance, as Mito slipped into hers, having nothing against Hinata, but she was going to win. The match started out with Hinata pressing Mito. However, Mito had went up against Naruto too much to fall for that, knowing that it was difficult to fight someone like them at all, with the way they were able to shut your points down. However, even Hayashi was rather shocked by just how much his daughter had grown, as Naruto watched the fight intensely. Hinata was able to shut the points down in Mito's arms. However, she shocked everyone when she started to call the fox power inside of her. Harrison was baffled. When did this girl learn how to do something like that? He couldn't believe it. At the end of the match, Mito came out on top, as she finished the match with a brutal uppercut that knocked Hinata down. However, moments after, Mito also collapsed down to one knee, proving that both girls had grown exponentially, able to clash with each other till the bitter end. But Mito was the last one standing. Hinata was happy though, not sad that she lost, but just glad that she was able to show that she wasn't a failure as the others thought. Many of the other Hyugas were shocked to the witness that they were able to gaze upon the sight of Hinata Hyuga. The one that they believed was a failure was able to do all of that. However, more people were shocked by the Jinjulki girl. When since has she become that strong? Naruto was proud of the both of them though. His face remained in that neutral expression, so one could not tell. However, it was time. As they were given a couple of minutes, Naruto made his way down there. Him and Neji as well. It was in that moment that Sasuke arrived, along with Kakashi as well, having done some last minute work. However, they weren't too late. Many people were happy to see that the Uchiha did arrive. However, this battle was something that they were looking forward to as well. Two Hyugas, one of them said to be a prodigy. Most people had no idea just how strong Naruto was. As the proctor left them to their own devices, they were supposed to be fighting but no blows were thrown. "This is it," said Neji. "For me to prove once and for all that I'm your better." Naruto found his statement hilarious, but he barely showed it. "It seems like you're still trapped in whatever delusional world that you were formerly in," said Naruto. "But it's been a long time since we went blow to blow. How about we finish our contest here to see which one of us is the better?" "I would like nothing more," said Neji as he slipped into his stance. "Me too," said Naruto. They dashed at each other. Everyone was quiet as their blows were vicious. Neither was trying to kill the other because they both knew that they could keep up. Naruto fighting style was the same as the standard Hyuga fighting style for the time being as their blows connected. There was a lot of chakra being released as their hands vigorously clashed with each other. Most could not even see the movement as their hands were moving so fast. Both boys activated their eyes at the exact same time and kick it up a notch. They ran against the wall as they clash. They move against the ground as they clash. They leap in the air as they clash. Blow for blow, strike for strike. That was until Neji got close. However, Naruto dodged his hand despite being inches away. Naruto weaved, flipping around Neji as he came down with a brutal strike. Neji blocked it up above, the ground cracking underneath him as Naruto kicked him away. Neji flipped as he landed on his feet. Naruto was upon him instantly, attacking him vigorously. Jumping back, Neji launched weapons towards Naruto, but every single one of them were deflected or dodged. Naruto plucked one of them from the ear and thrust it so hard, it slammed against the last kunai that Neji threw, both tips breaking as they clattered to the ground. Both boys stand off. The people were speechless, having no idea that Naruto possessed this level of strength. They knew that Neji was good. He was known as the prodigy of the clan after all. However, when Naruto slipped into a different stance that they weren't familiar with, they found themselves confused. "Father, what is that?" Hanabi questioned. However, Hayashi didn't have an answer to give her. Neji dashed forward, but when his strike met Naruto's strike, as Naruto's hand was not out palm strike, its knuckles were curved, like he was almost punching. Neji's hand was blown back. Confused as he felt all the force ricochet back to him. What the hell was that, he said. You're about to find out, said Naruto as he dashed in. Realizing that Naruta's speed had caught him, Neji decided to go for something big. Rotation, he said as he spun. However, as the buildup of chakra started to gather in front of Naruto, the palm strike that Naruto threw burst right through, and Neji was launched. He crashed hard on the ground. Neji got up confused. The Hyugas were shocked. Hayashi was shocked. Did Naruto just stop the rotation? Has he found a way to negate one of their most powerful defense? How? And when did Neji learn the rotation? Neji was as baffled as the others. How did you do that, he said. He looked down as he saw a burn mark on his arm. He pulled aside his shirt and saw there was one on his chest as well. An imprint. Naruto was not releasing his secret though. He simply dashed towards Neji. Neji, realizing that Naruto was somehow able to counter the technique, tried his best to dodge Naruto moves, but they seemed to be getting faster and stronger with each that were thrown. Both of the boys released an empty palm, a rather standard technique within the clan. When they clashed in the ear though, Naruto chakra manifested as red. As Neji was hit, in that moment it was over. Naruto blitzed towards him due to the second off, Neji being out of it. Naruto's strikes were fast. Every hit that Naruto gave stunned Neji more and more. When he delivered two final strikes to his stomach area, it launched him across. He crashed into a tree. Neji was curled up there in pain, burn marks all over him. Naruto's hands were red, as they seemed to be pulsating. Confusing many, Hayashi activated his Byakugan to try to find out what was truly going on. However, all he could see was a buildup of chakra in Naruto's hands. Hayashi had no idea how Naruto was doing what he was doing, as the technique did not make much sense. How was he able to send back the pressurized chakra when Neji had reflected with the rotation? That made absolutely no sense. Neji struggled to get back to his feet. However, he was greeted with a palm to the face. It was over, and Neji had to concede. The place exploded with cheers. Having not witnessed a battle like that, this one was even greater than the one before. However, many was now taking stock into the strength that Naruto possessed. In the crowd watching all of this was Satoru. Naruto helped Neji back up to his feet, throwing an arm over his shoulder. It feels like there is fire traveling through my body, burning my chakra away. Don't worry, said Naruto. It's not permanent or fatal. As he helped Neji towards the medics. You're gonna have to tell me what the hell that was, Neji said. He blacked out as he was taken away. With that, Naruto made his way, his gaze going towards the crowd. The first thing he did notice was Satoru, gazing towards him with a strange look. Naruto made his way back to where he was supposed to be, the others congratulating him, Mito being there. Sasuke seemed to be ready for Naruto in the finals, despite after what he just saw. Going up against Gaara was no easy feat though. The problem was, something tragic and great took place in that moment. As chaos reigned throughout the entire village, immediately. Yes, immediately. Thus, the walls exploded, the tower filled with smoke, interrupting Sasuke's match. Naruto was looking around when someone spoke his name. Him and several of the other branch members. As Satoru was the one giving out orders to them. The Hyugas were given a prompt order to evacuate the civilians behind this wall. However, Naruto wanted to stay and help. However, Satoru for the first time stopped Naruto in his tracks, "This is an order," he said. "Now go," forcing Naruto to help the people. It angered him because he wanted to help his comrades down there as well. However, he was given orders by the main house. Orders that he would be punished for if he did not do them. So with that, Naruto did as he was told. The other branch members working in tandem with him as they started to help the people out of there, removing many from the destructive from the explosion that took out the left wall. While that was going on, Kakashi gathered a group and sent them off to help Sasuke, as problem reigned all over the village. Hayashi was getting his daughter Hanabi to somewhere safe. Hinata was nowhere close here. She was within the medical ward that was already protected, and the injured were being moved immediately. As he was making his way, he found himself surrounded by a group of sound ninjas. He told Hanabi to get behind him as they attacked. However, they stood no chance as he cut them down one after another. Naruto helped the little girl and reunite her with her mother as he found himself heading towards the other area where he came across the scene of Hayashi taking down several. Hayashi saw Naruto as Satoru landed. "I'll get your daughter to safety," he said, as Hayashi did not pay much attention to the man though. However, his gaze was focused on Naruto, who turned his gaze away. With his Byakugan activated, though he could see him rather well. Hayashi looked towards Naruto strangely. It seems like he wanted to say something until Naruto's eyes went wide. Shock beyond his wildest belief. Despite having eyes that could see everything around you, you would never in your wildest moments believe that someone that was so high up, someone that has been there for the longest time now that respect your leadership, would strike you down where you stand. Hayashi was strong, but Satoru was also strong as well. But that still did not matter. Hayashi was stronger, faster. However, the man was here to help him with his daughter. Hanabi was baffled as she saw his hand lashed out towards her father, striking him just long enough to slow him down. As Hayashi turned, Satoru plunged the kunai deep into his chest. Plunged it deep within his chest, killing the man. Naruto was shocked, more shocked than he's ever been before, as he watched his so-called father collapse on the ground as Satoru stood there. But guys, let me end episode right here. If you want to see next part, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm off and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.